From the snowy mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including all of our terrestrial affiliates across North America, digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and staying up to date on Captain Shirk's SOR, Newswire, and much more. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. We'd appreciate that. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Derrel Sims is a certified master hypnotherapist and a licensed private investigator, among many other titles in the state of Texas. He's also considered a top researcher of human and alien encounters. His discoveries of the alleged alien implantation and fluorescence found on abductees following a reported contact by alien entities are but two finds that his medical scientific team has explored. In 1994, a writer reviewing his work originated the name Alien Hunter, and it stuck. His presentations to medical, scientific, and college conferences, as well as the public at large, show compelling approaches to human and alien encounters. Derrel's website is alienhunter.org. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Derrel Sims, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. It is our pleasure to host you.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here, and I hear you have a wonderful audience, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of them tonight on your program.
Well, we appreciate that, and we'll be taking some questions from the chat rooms once we get into hour number 2 for you, sir. I want to ask you, because you're somebody who is well-respected in this field, you've seen it all, you've heard all the stories. Does anything surprise you anymore?
Actually, some of the people that come forward are the people that surprised me. People you'd never think 20, 30 years ago, hardly anybody ever came forward. And the people who did were vilified and it just treated terribly. And now people are treated much, much better. And we have people that are, some of my abductees, 3 of them are NASA scientists or JPL scientists. And we have professional people. We have 3 doctors that are abductees, and so on and so on. I mean, it's amazing the people that are coming forward now to talk about their experiences.
You know, when you got into this a long time ago now, it's hard to say that for any of us. Did you ever think that this topic would explode the way it has the last few years?
Actually, yes and no. The reason the yes is that it's obvious that if it was happening to me, if it was happening to others, and it seems to be exponential, that the cat's going to get out of the bag, so to speak. And the no part is having been in the intelligence community before, in the Central Intelligence Agency a long time ago during the Vietnam War. It was hard for me to imagine anything becoming quote unquote full disclosure or anything like that. And I still have a difficulty with that because there's too many loopholes and too many ways to hide things. And that's just the nature of the intelligence community. So I kind of have a yes and a no answer.
Derrel, when you got into this, when you first started learning about aliens, UFOs, abductions, contact, did you believe any of this stuff? Was it all just woo that was kind of those offhanded stories from people who work the night shift, or were you immediately immersed into this?
Well, I was kind of a captive audience. At age 4, some entity came into my room in Midland, Texas on 1005 South K Street, and I was sat up in my bed and was stunned looking at this skinny little, spindly little thing with large black eyes, not the elliptical eyes like you see in the Hollywood movies and so on, but perfectly round black eyes that were an inch and a half across. And I was stunned. I sat up in the bed. I wasn't scared. I wasn't paralyzed. I wasn't anything. I was just stunned, looking at this creature, wondering, what is he doing here? The guy had no clothes on. It was wintertime. It was freezing cold. And, of course, as a little kid, I mean, kids notice things that adults don't. He not only did he not have any clothes, it was freezing cold, but I noticed he didn't have a belly button, and he didn't have a TT. And I couldn't figure that out. I couldn't figure out how he got in the room.
My goodness. That had to add a little bit of fear to you.
Well, I wasn't afraid at all until a certain aspect of it happened. And I'm sitting there looking at him, and I think, you know, what is that? Who is that? And he's walking toward the wall. I think he's going to bump into the wall. I didn't realize he just brought me back through the wall, and now he was leaving through it. And I didn't even know that. I was not supposed to remember anything. And at that moment that I thought about him going to bump into the wall, he apparently heard my thinking, and he turned around rapidly and looked at me, and I heard something in my head I had never heard in my entire life that I knew of consciously, and that is, he said, "It's awake." And he was talking about me. I wasn't supposed to remember anything or see anything or know anything, and now I've identified him, and he turned around. I saw the fact he had no genitalia, no belly button. I mean, he wasn't like us at all. Very skinny and spindly with a large bulbous head. He was white in color, whitish in color. There was a small light from the well house outside our home that shone into my room, so I could see him very clearly. And the only time I experienced fear was when he was trying to figure out what to do with me. In other words, he's got to make me. They often told people way back then, and then in the 50s and 60s, they'd tell them things like, "You won't remember," and a lot of people didn't, and they wouldn't remember. So the bottom line was, his eye moved. His eyes moved a little bit, and I couldn't figure out what that was all about. And all of a sudden, I became paralyzed. I mean, with a fear I had never ever known. I mean, at age 4, you're not very much afraid of anything except a bug.
No.
And this fear was something I'd never experienced in my entire life. And now, after over 40 years of investigating, I know now what that's about. I realized that he transferred his fear to me. They live in a society that's so radically different than anything we understand. The big mistake we do in the UFO community, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, is that we apply our knowledge or our culture or our views or values to them as if they're supposed to abide by that or live like that. They don't. They live in a structured society that is so horrific that transferring their fear to you so that it paralyzes you and leaves you in this awful fear is it's like a drug to them, because that fear goes off of them and then into you during that time. So that's the only time I ever experienced fear paralysis, was right then.
Did it make you angry that you had lost control?
Well, at age 4, I didn't. There's not a whole lot of massive cognitive details going on when you're 4 years old, and something walks in your room that's not supposed to be there. I thought it was somebody, a skinny little guy. I couldn't figure out who he was, and it never occurred to me it was an alien or anything like that. I didn't know what an alien was. Nobody did back then. So as he moved toward me, after I was paralyzed, I fell back on the bed, and I pushed so hard against the little bed and the wall that it pushed the bed apart into a kind of a V formation, and I fell with my blankets and everything, the quilts wrapped around me, fell down onto the floor. So my legs were up on the bed, so to speak, and my head bounced off the floor, and I was wrapped up in the the quilt and stuff on the floor, on the V of the bed where I pushed it apart. He couldn't get to me at that point, so he did the worst thing any child could ever imagine. He lifted up the cover and stuck his big bulbous head underneath the bed as he lifted up the cover and stuck his big head next to me, and with his large black eyes, gave me the suggestion mentally that you won't remember. And then he changed his visage to me of that of a clown. And some people say, well, he shapeshifted. I said, no, he didn't shapeshift. I know what you're talking about. I'm Native American, Scottish, Irish. I get that. I know what that's about. He didn't do that. He changed my perception of him into that of a clown. He wanted me to remember him as a clown and that I had a terrible, terrible dream. But the fact is, even at age 4, I figured out that I didn't have to accept that, and I didn't. I kept shaking my head back and forth as fast as I could. No, 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 no. And I wouldn't accept the suggestion. And after that was over, I was back in bed. He had put me back in bed and left. But I remembered him for what he was.
Very much so. But looking back on it, how do you feel about that experience now? Because obviously it shaped who you are and what you've accomplished up until this date.
Well, it did that, and I had about 10 events between age 4 and age 17. And those events, during those 10 events, during that period of time for 13 years, did color my experience and did leave me with impressions, of course, which were some of the events were very horrific, and not all people have horrific events. Others have benign events or less than benign, or some far worse. But mine went from a minor event like that to beyond horrific events by the time I was 17. So that affected me pretty badly. But I put a lot of it out of my mind. When I was 17, the events seemed to be over and nothing else happened. So I thought, wow, this is wonderful. Until one night we were living out in outside the New Caney, Texas, near the Cash Landrum case where that occurred on Meyer Road, out on a highway called 1486. And while I was there, I woke up in the middle of the night about 2:30 in the morning, and I ran as fast as I could in the living room because I knew my son wasn't in the bedroom. I knew they'd got him. And at 6 years old, they had already got my son. They had just brought him back. And I saw him in the living room, and he was in a deep trance, still looking out the back window. And I kept asking what he was looking at, and he said the little red light. And anyway, I knew at that point that they got him. Of course, then my wife walked up and stands looking at him, looking at me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and says, "What's going on?" I had never told her I was an abductee. Now
Right.
I had to tell her the whole story, that it may be in our family lineage.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And you know, that is the fear of every parent, isn't it? That when these situations happen, that you cannot control or protect your own child from these instances from happening. I mean, as a parent, what was going through your mind?
It was, you characterized it very well. What went through my mind at the time was that they're back, and now they're after my son. So when the lady interviewed me back in 1994, they gave me the name Alien Hunter, the journalist. I said, I hunt them that hunted me and later hunted my son. And now I hunt them. I used to be the prey, and now I'm the predator. So now but my circumstance is not that of vengeance or something like that, of getting even, that sort of thing. People should not mistake that. my background is a former police officer and a private investigator for over 30 years and a process server for the court system. My interest is in a lot of it is in physical evidence. That's what I search for in a lot of these events. But ultimately, I want to know who they are, why they're here, what they're doing, why they pick certain lineages out of people, and so on. And through that, since the 1980s, we have developed statistics, which have helped give us a lot of information, and it may give your audience some information too, about what to look for, because you only have three kinds of people that get taken. The first group of people that are taken are, I call the honeybees, and they're contactees. The contactee is a person characterized as a person who likes being taken. They feel they're chosen, special, or unique, or whatever, and they think that that is okay, and whatever happened to them is cosmically best for the universe, and so on and so on. And they're okay with it. The second group of people taken are people like me. They're abductees, which believe we were taken against our will. We did not ask for this. I didn't. None of the reasons that people come up with. In a former life, you agreed to this. No, I didn't. I didn't agree to anything like this. And, have my kids kidnapped. I mean, somebody needs to get medication. Things like that. An abductee is a person I call a killer bee. These are people who, like honeybees, make honey. But the difference with the honeybee is when the funny little man comes in a white suit with big dark glasses on, so to speak, they think he's there to steal the honey, and that's okay. If you come steal honey from a killer bee hive, you're going to wish you had never done that. They're not friendly, and you're going to pay the price. If you try to get their children or their honey, so to speak, you're going to pay a severe price, and they're going to come after you. So they feel like they've been violated, so to speak. Third group of people are people who actually don't know they've been taken. They don't have a clue. They don't know what to think about anything because most of them don't remember anything. And when I give some of the statistics out later in the program, some of the people are going to say, oh my gosh, I fit 20 of these 30 statistics. How can that be? You might want to look at your at your events because you may be one of them and don't even realize it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I can tell you this. I took one of those alien abductee tests that a friend of mine, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal in Washington State had. And I think it was like 60 questions or 50 questions. And I believe if you answered around 25 of them with a yes answer, you were considered an abductee. I ended up answering 47 of them as yes.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is real interesting. We developed the questionnaire and the statistics back in the 1980s, and a lot of people have hopscotched off of them. Some have improved them. Some have just simply copied them and put their own name on them. But the point is that it gives people kind of a gauge, a barometer, so to speak, to look at the evidence of people taken and compare it to themselves or their children or others. And they're often, again, these people that don't fit the category of I'm an abductee or a contactee, and they realize, oh my gosh, a case in point, an engineer, a friend of an engineer buddy of mine, she came to Sedona when I was speaking there one time, and she said, I filled out your form and the short version, and 33 out of 35 of these major points that you mentioned, rare drug allergies, procaines, assault intake, and things that I never even heard of this stuff. She said, I fit 33 of them. And I said, okay. She said, well, I don't believe in any of this stuff. And I said, okay. She said, well, that doesn't bother you? I said, not in the least. I said, young lady, I can't make you an abductee, or I can't make you not an abductee, period. It is what it is. 2 years later, she came to me after a conference when I was speaking at Phoenix, and she asked me to work with her, and I did. And she was absolutely in tears. And she, of course, described herself in great detail at 5 years old going inside a craft. And on the right-hand side, as she went inside, it's a pretty good-sized craft, she saw a cow being mutilated.
Oh, goodness.
While it was still alive. And she said, I don't even believe in this stuff. How can I be seeing that if it isn't true? I said, that's a very good question. You'll have to answer that for yourself. Anyway, 2 hours later, she came out in her memory recovery techniques they used on her, and she just was in tears and said, this can't be true because I don't want to believe it. I said, I understand that, and I get it. But the events occur regardless of what we want to think. So she's one of these people that didn't know and didn't want to know and still doesn't want to know. But now she does know.
It is traumatizing. Even if you've had positive experience, it is traumatizing for a lot of people who just do not understand what is actually going on and why it's actually happening. And for people, when you start to realize that there's lineage, like, for instance, I know my son has been taken twice.
Yep.
And he's now 6. He was taken at 6 months and at 18 months. And my bride, Mrs. SOR, she went with him. And that's how I know that this happened. And long story short, when you have no control, when you have no ability to dictate how things are going to go, when you're almost played like a toy, that's detrimental to one's psyche. As we got about a minute to go here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You nailed it down perfectly, in my opinion. And I just my heart just goes out to people that I hear people say, well, there are good aliens and bad aliens. And I said, well, now wait a minute. How do you know that? Well, because there are good people and bad people. I said, you're applying our standards to a group of entities that you know absolutely nothing about. The best you know about them, if anything, is what they told you, and they lie consistently. And so in a nutshell, that statement doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I said, when I do a kidnapping case and work a kidnapping case, I never have a parent come to me when I bring their child to them, recovered unharmed. I've never had one of them ever look at me and say, Mr. Sims, there are good kidnappers and bad kidnappers. I never hear that, ever. All I hear is thank you. Put him in prison for the rest of his life.
Derrel, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Mr. Derrel Sims, alien hunter, is on the show tonight. We're talking aliens, alien abduction. Who's taking us? That's the big question we're going to ask Mr. Sims right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
we're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Hey, I want to remind all of you that if you want to check out our free archives, go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. There's much more there for you to peruse through. And if you're on Twitter, don't forget to follow us at Spaced Out Radio or my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. We are talking aliens tonight. What's it like to hunt aliens? Who is taking us? Well, the good part about that is we get to talk to the man himself who goes by the Alien Hunter, Derrel Sims out of Houston, Texas. His website, alienhunter.org, if you want to check it on out. Derrel, who's taking us?
The $64,000 question that they're never going to answer for you. The only answer you're going to get are going to be from interviews, and then you have to pick those interviews of abductees, contactees, and these people that don't know what's happened to them. Out of all of that, you have to figure out, sift through that, and go through the truth, the screen memories, falsities, lies that the aliens have told, until you finally start collecting stories that make sense. And the bottom line for me was more than that. Being a former police officer and in the investigative aspect of this, I have to have evidence. And the way to do that is to obviously do the interviews, because I'm able to determine where people are lying or telling the truth just by watching them. And I've got a lot of techniques we use like that. I'm a master hypnotherapist, which means I certify people that become hypnotherapists, and master level NLP, and so on. I've got a plethora of skills, handwriting analysis, so on and so on. And we use all these skills to do the investigations in cases. Ultimately, what I want to do is qualify the prospect as being, if they are truthful and their events are real and they're remembering the events correctly. What I want to do is then start collecting evidence from people that are very truthful like that. And we've been able to collect that kind of evidence in the form of either cuts, bruises, scars, marks on these people that don't make any sense. And we have some of our medical people, our medical doctors and others, check these things out with me, so I'm kind of giving them an education, because this is not stuff that the doctor is going to normally see coming in the door, so to speak. And then we look for evidence that's happened to the person in the visible range. We look at things that have happened to them in the invisible range, such as X-rays and things, broken bones and things that people didn't even know they had, and I'm one of them. That indicates your abduction events were real. My last event was horrific, and I had broken ribs and everything else from the event, but miraculously was healed up. And everybody says, "See there, they healed you." I said, "No, you don't understand. They repaired me because I was still alive, and they didn't want anybody to know about what had happened." But my VA doctor found that out. And so there's evidence in people, on people. In rare cases, in my own case, when I was 12 years old, in one of my events in 1960, I experienced getting a nasal implant. And so we find things in people, things on people. We found when the alien physically touches a person in their physical event, if they take you somewhere, in other words, there often will be a fluorescent trace left on you. We call it the alien fingerprint, but basically what it is the best way to think of it is alien sweat, and it penetrates your skin subdermally on contact. You can't get it off. You can't wash it off. It won't come off. The body will finally absorb it in about 24 hours or so. So we're looking for evidence like that to verify these people's stories. Otherwise, these are just stories, and nobody's going to take it at heart. Their mythology is what they are. Not that they are to me or you, but they are to the rest of the world, because the rest of the world doesn't know what to think about it, because they've never seen or heard of that. So therefore, you're making it up, or you're in a dream, or you're whatever. And psychologists have a field day with that sort of thing. But the fact is, if you find physical evidence on these people and so on, it starts to validate their stories are not only true, they're physical stories, and they're actually occurring to tens of thousands of people.
Interesting. Is it just the grays? We always hear of these different beings, these reptilians, these mantids, these humanoid type people that walk into our room and they look beautiful, and people from famous people like Sammy Hagar all the way down to normal people like all of us have explained about these creatures. It's not just the grays, though, is it?
That is true. There seems to be 7 primary flavors, so to speak. And I referred to, and I'm going to, let me say this to your audience tonight. So this, and I mean no offense to anyone or anyone's viewpoint. I'm not here to usurp my viewpoint over anybody else's. I'm simply telling you this is what I've found to date, and this is what we've found over 40 years of investigations. But basically, what I've come to understand about the so-called alien phenomena is that, number one, they're not who they say they are. Number 2, they're not from where they claim to be. And 3, and I'm going to use the word DNA because, for lack of a better term, their DNA doesn't come from out there in outer space. It comes from planet Earth. My whole purpose tonight in speaking to your audience, and the reason I wanted to come on your show in particular, is to let people know that our latest findings on these entities is that, well, first of all, let me qualify myself. As a former police officer and ex-CIA guy during the Vietnam War and so on, bringing the investigative aspect of this phenomena, my purpose is not to be a parrot. A parrot is simply a bird that simply quotes the same thing over and over and over and over, and it's stuff that they hear, but it's not things that they necessarily know, if you know what I mean. A parrot is taught things. I'm not a parrot. These are things I've learned and things I've discovered through the science, the medical. We've conducted 25 surgical interventions on people. My last surgical intervention was for alien implants was in India 2 years ago. So my purpose in this is to give people a new sense of this. I don't want to regurgitate or parrot stuff that people have already heard 14,000 times. What I would like to do is give them a new opportunity to think perhaps a little differently about things that they thought they knew, or maybe knew something about for sure, but maybe we'll learn some additional things tonight. One of the big things that may surprise your audience a bit is that what we've found is that the 7 primary creatures, so to speak, and I'll just list a few of them: the little gray guy who stands about 32 inches tall, large bulbous head, black eyes, the whole 9 yards. Then he's got a guy that's taller, looks just like him, but is bigger, taller than him, about 4.5 to 5 feet tall. He's often referred to as the doctor. If there's something surgically going to be done to you or cut on you or injury like that, he's going to be the guy to do it. And so those are 2 of the entities, the little gray and the taller gray. And then the next being we might want to refer to as is the reptile. And he's a pretty horrific creature in most regards. A 4th one would be the humanoid type. Some people refer to the Nordic type, blonde hair and this sort of thing. And then a 5th type might be the praying mantis type, as the example, usually 6.5, 7.5 foot tall. And anyway, and there's another entity that a lot of people do not attach to the alien phenomena for different reasons. One is either they don't know, or maybe they've never thought about it, or maybe they've never considered it. And that is the Bigfoot creature. And now I'm well aware that there are all kinds of Bigfoot creatures out there, so to speak. Some are quite friendly and others are not at all. And they're probably as different as night and day. I get that. But my point is that we've seen all 7 of these entities on one craft at one time. And we had eight human witnesses seeing the whole thing. So it's not like there are 7 different races from other worlds who have come to visit us from Zeta Reticuli. That's not really true. The fact is we actually have a pretty good indication of where these guys are stationing some of their craft. Some NASA scientists have been good about telling us about some of this. But the most important thing to me, and I'll go after this a little more detailed if you like, is the
Please.
DNA from these 7 entities, in my opinion, comes from planet Earth. And I'll stop right there, unless you have any questions about that.
Okay, so how do we know that this DNA is earthbound and not of alien descent?
Great question. You open Pandora's box.
Let's do it.
Here comes Pandora. Okay. First of all, I'm going to ask some rhetorical questions, obviously.
Okay.
A lady told me one time, she says, well, the aliens are so smart. And I said, what makes you think that? And she said, well, they have these wonderful craft. And I said, sweetie, what makes you think they made them? Well, they had to because they fly them. I said, I fly on an airplane and I didn't make one. Well, that's not the same thing. I said, actually it is. So you're making assumptions about something you absolutely have no knowledge about. First of all, do you realize a number of these beings only have 3 or 4 fingers and no opposing thumb? How do you build things without opposing thumbs? I don't know. I said, you don't. Someone else builds it for you. I said, so you're kind of missing the point. I said, first of all, I said, let's talk about, this is really fun. Let's look at the praying mantis. The praying mantis guy I met when I was in 3rd grade in one of my abduction encounters. If somebody told me about this, I'd never believe a word of it. Never would have believed it, but until I saw him. Long story short is, where do you suppose you get DNA from a praying mantis from? Well, one might say, well, probably from Zeta Reticuli or from Venus or Mars or some other place. That sounds really cool, except there's not a word of it that's true. Where would you get, where would you, if you had to get praying mantis DNA right now, where would be a great place to get it? Probably out in your garden. Planet Earth is a great place to get praying mantis DNA. Well, where would you get reptile DNA? Well, let me see. Probably not Pluto. Probably not some distant star. Probably a good place to get reptile DNA is on planet Earth because we have all kinds of reptiles here. Well, where would you get the human DNA from, like the human one, the Nordic guy? And I said, well, I'm going to take a wild guess here. Just fasten your seatbelt. Probably, I'm thinking maybe Norway. I don't know, something like that. You did say he lived Nordic, didn't you? And good night. I mean, when you start putting this stuff together, and somebody told me one day that they said Dr. Melvin Ketchum is doing some DNA study on the Bigfoot guy. And I said, well, great. I'm glad to hear somebody's finally doing some good work on that. And I said, because people tell the stories. I've seen him, I've done that. But those are just stories. They don't mean much without any evidence. So she does this great. Anyway, they asked me if I would volunteer some of my Bigfoot evidence. And I said, okay. I said, I'm not a Bigfoot investigator, but doesn't mean I don't have any evidence. Just means I just don't push that. And so I called their office and said, I understand you're doing some DNA testing. I've got a fingernail from an adolescent, a urine sample from an adolescent, and hair samples from far back as the 1980s. And they said, well, we've already got quite a bit of DNA evidence for Bigfoot. And I said, well, great. I don't care. I'm not a Bigfoot investigator. I just happen to have the evidence. And they got real quiet and said, okay. And so let me know what you find from your stuff. Long story short, to answer, still in the same vein of the questioning we're having here, where's the DNA come from? My thesis is that all the DNA from these guys come from here. They're from planet Earth. And then I'll wrap this up in a moment. But the DNA from Bigfoot that Dr. Melba Ketchum and her people who did an excellent study, shows that the Bigfoot DNA is number one simian. It's in other words, an ape-like creature, whatever it is, and it has mitochondrial DNA from modern human woman. Now the question is, how do you get mitochondrial DNA mixed up with a Bigfoot? That's called transgenicism. And it's a real high science right now that a lot of people are doing work on, and they're doing it in Korea and in the United States and other countries. China's really big into this, in which you can mix the DNA of different species and come up with something else, so to speak. But if you, my past is Native American, Irish, and Scottish, and I'm telling you, in our native stories, in our own people, among the Cherokee, the Algonquin, and Seneca and others, we knew about stuff like this long before anybody ever even discussed it 25, 30 years ago. The point is that we knew then that the Bigfoot, these different kinds of them. It depends on what part of the country or what part of the world you're exploring this from. Some of these entities are as different as night and day. Some seem to be quite friendly, and others don't seem to be friendly at all. In fact, they often will run off with, like I said, these are our native stories, and sometimes they take off with your women or kids, especially the women, and which might account for some of that mitochondrial DNA. I don't know. But the point is that the DNA comes from planet Earth. And one of my friends, Cliff Mahudi, he's a medicine man for the Zuni, and we joke all the time and speak at conferences all the time together. And I told him, I said, tell me about the little gray guys, and tell me about them. He said, well, they're the Star people. I said, don't use that white bull crap on me. Don't do that. I said, you talk to me native. He said, oh, they're the ant people. I said, thank you. Where do they come from? He said, inside the earth. I said, thank you. I don't want to hear a bunch of white talk, things that white people want to hear about the alien. You tell me what your true native story is. And I said, and I'll tell you what ours are. And that was the bottom line. I said, the fact is they come from inside the earth. They come from earth, inside the earth. Bingo. So far we've established about 6 or 7 of these guys, probably the DNA probably coming from Earth. I'm taking a wild guess here. But I'll bet you when we go to Saturn, Venus, or any of these other places, we're probably not going to find praying mantises 7 foot tall walking around. But in my opinion, whoever is in charge of this stuff, and it's not the alien, they came here and got that particular DNA, took it back out to a massive craft, of which we may have a video of, by the way.
Oh, really?
And on that craft, I use the term Dr. Moreau because it's a nice illustration for me from a movie. He goes out there and he develops these transgenic beings and sends them back to Earth, and they come back and tell us they're from Zeta Reticuli, I'm from Venus, I'm from Mars, I'm from wherever. There are a lot of flaws in those stories, just a lot of flaws. But there's no question the DNA does come from here. No question about that at all. The question is, when an alien tells you he comes from some distant star, is that a true fact or not? The guys that we're seeing in these abduction events for the last 100 years, I'm not buying their story. Are there aliens out there from other worlds that we don't know anything about? Entirely possible. I don't know. I had met them all, but I've met quite a few of these, and I have a pretty good sense, and especially after investigating 2,000 cases worldwide. And I mean, cases from as far as Japan, India, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Europe, Australia, you name it. And our evidence is very solid and very consistent, and we may have some of the DNA in some of our testing now. So we're hoping that some new resources that may come to us in the near future will help us with some of the financial burdens on discovering that in some of these universities and so on. And we'll get a good look at this so-called DNA evidence that we have. And we're very confident, just like Dr. Melba Ketchum's group was when she found out that the DNA comes from here.
Derrel Sims, the Alien Hunter, is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Derrel, we have you for about another minute and a bit here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. You mentioned this ship, this craft that is out there. Do we know where it is?
We know where it used to be. In 1992, I knew exactly where it was at because a Japanese astronomer, we had a mass abduction at December 8th, 1992, and also on December 11th, 1992, a double mass abduction of 8 people taken in 2 states in several cities, and they were all taken on small craft to this massive craft. It was 60 miles, 50 miles thick, 600 miles across, and I had a real problem with that until my senior investigator, who was an engineer, showed me what appeared to be a video of someone who was filming the moon at the time, and apparently he got the craft in the film footage.
No kidding. Holy cow. I would love to see that. Love to see that.
You don't need a planet if you've got a craft that big. You don't need a planet at all. You can move this thing anywhere you want it.
I hear you there. Derrel, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we are going to go to break at the top of the hour. I am just stunned by that. Stunned by that. I want to know statistics when we come back, my friend. I know you have a bunch of them that are lined up, and I want to hear your results. I want to hear about who's getting taken, what's getting taken. Is my dog getting taken? Because I haven't seen him on a craft yet. Then again, I haven't even seen myself on a craft. But we're getting into it. Derrel Sims is our guest tonight, the Alien Hunter. His website, alienhunter.org. I highly suggest you check it on out. His information is just fantastic. More Spaced Out Radio at Hour 2 coming up next.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hey, Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together, we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to give a shout out to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across the continent. On the digital side, we are proud to broadcast on TalkStream Live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as well as Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Lido Totes. I don't know. Lido Totes or something like that. Anyways, the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. And if you're on Twitter, do me a favor. Give our show a follow at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Tonight we are talking with the alien hunter, Derrel Sims. His website, alienhunter.org. And if you missed hour number 1, oh, you missed a lot. You're going to have to go to our archives to check it on out. Derrel has been looking for aliens, hunting them down for well over 26 years. Ever since he was 4 years old, he had his own experiences. And now we're going to get into some statistics that he has been able to find out. Derrel, welcome back to the show.
I'm delighted to be here. This is fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Derrel, you know, when the mainstream public hears about alien abductions, they think of the stereotypical night worker at the convenience store who makes minimum wage, who believes all sorts of conspiracy theories that nothing is real, the government is out to get us, take our guns, take everything away from us, and they're doing it via aliens, and, you know, here we are being taken. But the reality is we have people of all walks of life who are having these experiences. Doctors, lawyers, police officers, teachers, construction workers, people at the grocery store, you name it, it is happening. Have you been able to find out any patterns in regards to ET abduction as to why it's happening?
Well, we've two things. One is a pattern. You use that's a good word and a correct word in my view. There are patterns in these events, and as I told the late Bud Hopkins when we were in Marseille, France in 1994, 96, I think it was. And I told him, I said, many abduction cases, I said, you can kind of almost tell pretty much what they're going to be like when people start telling you, because you've investigated so many cases before. There a lot of them are very, very similar. They have the same year marks, missing time, woke up in the wrong location, the different things and so on. So there are patterns that fall in the abduction scenarios. That's true. But there's something else, and it's kind of an important thing that you brought up earlier, and that is the statistics. Not only are there patterns in contact events, but there are statistics that develop as a result of these patterns that we see in the alien phenomena. And these statistics, to me, are just shocking and overwhelming. And one of the first ones I learned about was I went to my dentist when I was, I must have been 17, 18 years old, I guess 18. And anyway, he gave me a shot of this stuff called Novocaine. And I said, when's it supposed to work? He said, it already is working. And I said, well, the muscle feels like it, the skin feels like it's asleep. But he said, well, that's it. And I said, okay. He hit me with that drill, and I thought I was going to jump out of the chair and hit him because it was like drilling through my teeth without any anesthetic at all. And he said, you can't be feeling that because I gave you Novocaine. And so he gave me another shot. And I mean, he gave me so much Novocaine, he said, I can't give you any more. That's it. So I finally had to learn how to deal with my teeth situation. So I learned hypnotic anesthesia, and I helped myself out with music and doing that. And then they give me a shot of lidocaine or something like that, and it just kind of deadens the skin. But that's the way I have to deal with my. But I got to wondering, I wonder how many abductees have got that situation as well. And when I go to conferences, I ask, how many of you people have rare drug allergies to Novocaine, lidocaine, Septicaine, Carbocaine, and about usually in a pretty good sized conference, 10 or 15 hands would go up. And I'll tell them, do you realize that there has to be about 40,000 people present for that to even remotely be true? And I asked them, how many of you people that just raised your hands have had contact experiences, seen UFOs, this sort of thing? And the same hands go up. And it's really amazing because this drug allergy is so rare that if you tell your dentist, I have a drug allergy to procaines or Novocaine, xylocaine or whatever, they'll look at you and just laugh, say, shut up, get in the chair. You don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about because in some of our surveys, like I said, we did these back in the 80s, and one of our survey questions is, how many of you people have allergic reactions from hives to coma to some of the Cain family? Other people who are like me, the Cain family doesn't seem to work well on at all. And that's why I have to do something else when I go to the dentist because it's not working. And it's like torture. It's absolute torture for me to go to the dentist. So that's just one of the statistics that we have. We found as many as 31% of our abductees in one survey back in the 90s had this rare drug allergy to procaines. That's just unbelievable. I could tell you a dozen stories about that, but the bottom line is it's equivalent. There's no actuarial for it. In other words, it's equivalent to out of every 10 astronauts, 3 out of the 10 are going to have a rare drug allergy to procaines. That's just not going to happen. There are no statistics for that. There aren't any because there isn't any, and nor could there be. We had a assistant professor at Purdue do a study on this with 35 dentists and patients, and the percentage was so low. No wonder they don't check for the allergic reaction to it because it's extremely rare. And most of the time it's minimal anyway. But that's just one statistic. Another statistic that you might find interesting is scoop marks that we find on these people. These are like dermatological punches or a scoop that's been taken by a doctor as an example. The only difference is the doctor wasn't your doctor, it was somebody else. And I've got, in one case, I've got a guy that's got 7 scoop marks in a row down his leg. When other people have got 2, 3, or 4 of them on their arm, where they, at different times of their events, they get a different scoop taken out. And what we found in the scoop marks is, number one, is that the scoop mark seems to be, the inside of the scoop seems to be cauterized with an ultraviolet, highly intense light. In other words, when the scoop is taken, then a bright light cauterizes it of ultraviolet light, and singes it basically, and that it produces an effect called solar elastosis. So that's something we found about the scoops. It was kind of bizarre. Just a few other little stats real quick to kind of get your audience going here a little bit. 54% of abductees report nosebleeds for unknown reasons. They have no idea why they all of a sudden get a nosebleed in the middle of the night. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. 27% of a small study of our abductees had altered levels of neurotransmitters or electrolytes. 68% crave salt. 63% report night blindness. 3% report unusual growth patterns. One of my abductees, the way he knows he's been taken, he always says, "Oh my God, my fingernails are growing at a rapid rate." And I said, "Okay, how rapid?" "I'm having to trim them 2 and 3 times a day." He says, "You need to work with me." And so I'll check him. That's very rare that we hear that, but it does happen. And 13% wake up in the wrong room, wrong bed, locked out of their house, or woke up in wrong city. Two of our guys woke up. They were in Fort Collins, Colorado, and they saw a UFO on highways, went to a stop. The aliens came to them, and next thing they know, they're in Dalhart, Texas, truck and all. The wrong guys driving the truck.
No kidding.
Those are just some of the stats that we have.
Holy cow. Those are only stories that you hear about, and what I mean hear about it, I mean that you think that there's no possibility that could be true.
Well, the good example is a guy came to me back in that's the case where he was an engineer and his friend, they met each other, hadn't seen each other in years. They're both abductees, by the way. Neither one of them ever thought about it. They go up to Nevada to look for gold, pan gold and stuff, and they're on the way back with their truck, and they come through Fort Collins, Colorado, and as they get to Fort Collins, they think there's a car wreck or something because they see all these red and blue lights down there in the roadway down there, and they think, "Wow, that's must be a terrible accident." And they get down there, and of course their truck comes rolling to a stop, and they realize the lights are not police cars. It's a UFO, and the aliens are waiting on them out in the middle of nowhere. The next thing they know is the truck has been dropped off in Dalhart, Texas, and the wrong guy's driving the truck. And he looks over at Dale and says, "Did you see that elk?" And which is a screen memory. And Dale says, "No." And I said, "Well, Dale, the screen memory is an image given to people by the alien to make them think something else happened." I said, "There aren't any elk in Dalhart, Texas. The tallest thing out there is a bush about 3 foot tall. It's called sage. There's nothing out there."
Kidding.
So the question is, how did you get from Dalhart, Texas without gassing up from Fort Collins? How does that happen? And he said, "I don't know." I said, "Have a seat. We're fixing to find out." And I did. Absolutely incredible case.
What happened to them?
Well, Dale, in the course of his hypnotic session, when they took him, because I used to hear this a lot back in the 90s. People say, "You're just negative. You always focus on the negative stuff. You're just trying to be negative." I said, "No, I'm not. I review cases. Whatever the case is, what it is. I'm not have a viewpoint of whether it's whatever the case is." But anyway, I finally got tired of people saying that, so I took a film footage of me hypnotizing Dale and him getting an implant through the center of the forehead, in between his eyes. And I mean, his head turns from, as he's screaming at the height of his voice, from red to purple. I mean, people were running out of the UFO conference, scared and crying. I said, "There's things about the UFO phenomena you don't know anything about. You think you do, but you don't." I said, all you ever hear about is, they took me to Zeta Reticuli, they took me to Mars, they took me to Jupiter, they did this, and then they took me to the School of Higher Consciousness. And God bless America, I'm happy for you. That may or may not have happened, but the point is, there are other things that happen to other people too. And as an investigator, I have to look at all evidence, not your evidence that they treated me wonderful, but I have to look at evidence where two children come back from their UFO event. They're dead from their abduction account. And the mother heard them on board the craft screaming in another room because she was taken at the same time. Abduction experiences where I've got several. I'm fixing to hopefully go down to South America and to do several big cases down there. And two of them have to do with people. One of them is an elderly woman mutilated like a cow, but in the worst sense of the word, she was literally skinned alive in her bed, and there's no blood. There's no blood on the bed nor on her. It's gone. She's been skinned alive. You say, well, that's impossible. I never hear of that, because it doesn't sell. They're not going to put that on TV. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to see that. You don't want to know about that. You want to hear about, I was taken to the School of Higher Consciousness. That's what happened to me. Well, she didn't get taken to the School of Higher Consciousness. One man, several cattle, several chickens, and the man himself were carbonized, literally. I mean, literally turned into black carbonized glass from the contact experience. And the man was inside. He locked himself inside his little house because he tried to get away from whatever it was out there, the carbonized, the cattle, the several chickens. And they found, when the farmer came back to his ranch hand, who had been carbonized, he was dead on the floor, found the dog was half carbonized. The dog was still alive.
Oh, wow.
Nobody wants to hear stuff like that because that doesn't sell books. That's not going to work. That's not going to work.
Derrel Sims is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking with the alien hunter. Derrel, I got to ask you, because this question gets brought up a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it numerous times as well. With all of these abductions and experiences people are having, is there any question whether or not the governments of the world know what is going on?
The best way to frame that, I think your question is good, but let me frame it from my investigative process, because if you ask that question to someone who is a DSP satellite specialist who's got a top secret clearance like I do, the answer is no, nothing, zero, because the question was asked incorrectly. If you ask the question, are there flying saucers? Does our government know? The answer is no. There's no such thing. But if you ask the question, are there fast and slow walkers that have been reported, caught on film, recorded by the DSP satellite program, their answer is a resounding, of course, thousands of them. Thousands. Are there records? Yeah, of course there are. Can you get the records? Probably some of them once, but if after you do that, they're going to get classified. So we don't really want to let people know a lot about that, because if everybody does a FOIA and starts trying to pull records like that, it's all going to get cut off. Then there goes our information feed from the government. But governments, generally speaking, don't know anything about nothing. They really don't. They're like that Indian goddess with about 8 arms. They don't have you heard of the left hand to know what the right hand's doing? Well, imagine a government with 8 arms on it. It doesn't know which hands are doing what. So it's more like that. If you walk up to the front gate or drive up the front gate of Langley at the Central Intelligence Agency and ask the guy at the gate, say, what do you know about flying saucers? He'll look at you like you're nuts and direct you to turn your car around and leave, because he doesn't know what you're talking about. He thinks you're crazy. If the question really one has to ask is, to qualify it, is, are there people in the governments of different governments who do know? And the answer is a resounding, of course there is. Who do you think got the craft at Roswell? It was us. Who got the evidence of the carbonized cattle, chickens, carbonized dog, and the carbonized man in Brazil? Who got that body? Central Intelligence Agency, of course. They were there the next day. And the Varginha incident happened in January, I think it was 16th or thereabout, 1996 in Varginha, Brazil. Who got the bodies and the craft that crashed there? Well, Central Intelligence Agency was on the ground the next day. So the answer is, we know who has the stuff. Are they ever going to admit it? No, they're not. Only people like me are going to admit things like this because I'm finding evidence that is substantial. What's really weird is I'll get vilified by someone. Well, I think all your stuff is a bunch of bunk. Okay. So 25 surgical interventions we did at my own personal expense around the world are absolutely worthless and useless. Well, you could have made all that up. Well, that's possible, but it's really expensive and kind of a waste of your life to do that, don't you think? And to interview thousands of people and take on 2,000 cases worldwide, kind of a daunting job to believe in a bunch of stuff that isn't true. What's really weird, if the government came out and said, we have a crashed flying saucer like they did in 1947, everybody believed that. And they did until the next day. They said, oh, no, we don't. We made a mistake. Now we don't have it. Yeah, they actually did, and they do, and that they still do. But the point is that if someone's not the government and says, I have alien evidence, and I do, and quite a bit of it, well, that must be fake. Why is that? Because I'm not the government? Because I don't lie to people?
Always. When in doubt, right? It's always fake. Show me the evidence. Show me the proof. That's the answer for everybody who's somewhat skeptical in this. Show me the proof.
And they never want to belly up to the bar and pay for any evidence testing whatsoever. It always comes out of our pocket.
True.
They gripe the most and pay nothing to have anything looked at. Nothing.
Derrel, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are at that time where we got to take a break at the bottom of the hour. I cannot believe how fast this show is flying on by tonight. Derrel Sims is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, the Alien Hunter. Now, I know a lot of you in our chat rooms have questions that you want me to ask Derrel. The chat room's moving so fast, I've literally let them pass, so make sure you retype them in capital letters so that way I can read them to Mr. Sims tonight. And, oh, man, is this a great, great topic. All aliens, all night on Spaced Out Radio, Derrel's website, alienhunter.org. Check it on out. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio. Talking aliens right after this.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
we're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Casher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you tuning us on in. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this fantastic show tonight, do yourself a favor. Check it out on our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. And don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter, the show at Spaced Out Radio, and my personal account at Dave Scott SOR. I'd love to hear from you. Tonight we are talking with the alien hunter Derrel Sims, and we're going to get to some audience questions here in the chat rooms momentarily. Derrel's website, alienhunter.org. If you want to check it on out, I highly suggest you do. Derrel, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. And for those that are interested in talking to me personally, I answer all my emails. If I don't answer an email within a day or so, it's because I didn't get it, and so just resend it. And the way to do that is go to alienhunter.org and click on Alien Hunter, and it'll automatically send me an email. Then you can ask any questions you want if we miss any of them tonight on the show.
Perfect. Let's start with Gail. She is asking that right before the break you mentioned about this gentleman and his dog. He was carbonized. The dog was half carbonized. Is that like what happened at Star Wars with Han Solo, she asks. Can you describe that?
We use the term carbonized because the movie Star Wars kind of illustrates the point, but the fact is he was blackened glass is what it looks like in the photography of his body. And it freaked everybody out. They were not prepared for any of this. The dog was partly carbonized and later died from the carbonization process, but it's almost like a glass. It's like you've been burnt, not burnt like with a fire, but burnt to the point you turned it like if you burn certain kinds of rock carbonizes, it turns into glass. It basically what the man and his dog and the cattle and all of it look like is almost like obsidian. It was that dark. Very
Incredible.
Strange.
All right, let's move on to another question here. This one from Chocobo, who is asking, does each race of alien have their own individual reasons for abductions? Have you figured that out?
Thank you for the question. In my opinion, there are only 7 models. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't other races of aliens out there somewhere in the universe. Only ones that interest me right now are the ones that are coming here abducting people. For whether a person wants to call it good or bad, that's a personal opinion. But the entities that we see involved in these events, I'm going to give you 2 answers. I think both of them are going to be informative and may stun you a little bit, especially if you go check this out. Because I expect people to check things out, not to take my opinion, my word for it, because most of the stuff I'm going to be giving you is an opinion. It's actually based on 40 years of field research. But number one, these are models. It's like going to the Chevy car company. There's a Chevette model, like the little gray, the low end. And then you got the Corvette Stingray, like the Nordic guy on the other end. But make no mistake about it, they're all Chevys. They're all made, hatched, cloned, and manufactured in the same location. Listen to that term carefully. Whenever I was 4 years old, the first thing I noticed about the alien is he didn't have a belly button. When he turned to me, I saw his eyes, of course. I went from the eyes down and noticed he didn't have any belly button. Now, I have a belly button. Why doesn't he? And he didn't have a TT. Why doesn't he have a TT? Well, after years of investigating, you look at that and you think, if you don't have a belly button, it's because you're not born. You didn't get here the way we did. And if you don't have a TT, you don't urinate. You don't get rid of waste the way we do, because you don't eat like you don't do a lot of things the way we do. And the fact is, you don't procreate. You're made, hatched, cloned, or manufactured. And that's what you need to know. That's number one. Number two, and this is going to sneak up and bite some folks. The alien phenomena, the alien quote unquote, it's a program. The alien abduction program is only about 100 to 150, 200 years at the most old. That's it. That's the whole entire program. Now, those stats do not come from me. They come from the alien. We'd have to have a whole another night just to discuss that. But the point is that is just a program that's being run on us right now, humanity. And there have been different programs during humanity's time here. One of them is a program called giantism. And literally, when you consider the Stone Age and things like that, the Stone Age never was about mankind. Never. No, we were chucking spears at each other and jerking hides off of animals and things like that. No, that's not what it was about. The Stone Age belongs to the giant. It was their age. And that's a program we don't know much about because a lot of our history has been specifically and purposely kept away from. The Smithsonian is one of the biggest sinners in that event. And they've kept things away from us for many, many years. And hopefully in next year, I'll be able to produce some of this maybe on a TV program and show you that the giant program was very much alive and well. But the alien program of abduction and contact has only been in existence for probably a little over 100 and some years.
Did we create it?
Whoever made, hatched, cloned, and manufactured the alien ran that program for the last 100 or so years. Before that, they had a program called transgenics. They had another program called giants. They have a number of programs that they have used on us for, I'm going to use their figures, not mine. So don't nobody get mad at me over this. For the last 6,000 years, they've used these programs. Their time frame, not mine. I didn't make that up. I'm telling you what we have found from our own research. The point is that now it doesn't mean if someone could challenge me and say, but we've seen pictures of the alien on the Native American pictographs. I get that. I have pictures myself. I actually took some of these pictures. I get that. But those are not abduction-related phenomena. Doesn't mean the alien wasn't around or made, hatched, cloned, or manufactured. It means he was not introduced to mankind in the context that we have today for the last 100 years. That's a brand new thing. How many people do you know that were abducted in the 15th century, 12th century, 3rd century, 5 centuries ago? There aren't any. It's just non-existent. What you do find is, are there different types of entities that show up in history? Yes, there are. Doesn't mean they didn't exist, but the program was not introduced. The abduction contact program was introduced about 100 and some years ago, and that's just the truth of it.
All right, let's move on here. The Phenom is asking, Derrel, have you ever been investigated or visited by the Men in Black?
Wow. Well, there's two groups of Men in Black, as I'm sure the well-versed and well-knowledged person is, because they've asked a really good question. There are two kinds of Men in Black. One is Men in Black, which are in effect the people within the government. And again, the government doesn't know anything about them. They don't. But I do. And the answer is that some of my abductees have actually been tampered with by these so-called MIBs, the government types. And one of them made a huge mistake. He left his calling card. Now I know where they're at. I know where they're located. It took me through several investigative agencies in the United States government to even find out who they are. Every president signs off on that program. It's not called Men in Black, but it is a program of investigators that are used specifically by different interagency circumstances, and these guys have enormous power to do all kinds of stuff. It's really an amazing thing. That's the government aspect. Number two is there is an alien aspect of that. The Men in Black concerning the alien is something radically different. That when you see a Men in Black alien show up, that part of the alien program, that usually means there's a problem and the gray or the aliens involved can't solve it. They can't fix it. They can't make you obey, make you compliant or whatever. And so you're going to get this visit from somebody that's going to be a little more instructive and helpful to their cause. And when he's finished with you, you probably will be compliant.
Is that where the 65,000 Americans who go missing and unaccounted for go every year?
How dare you make an accusation like that? Completely unfounded, only based on fact. You would have to. I don't know because I can't say that because I don't know who got them. But the fact is, there are people missing, and there's lots of them missing. And the question is, who's doing that? Well, it isn't somebody saving the planet and fixing the ozone hole. That's for sure.
All right, let's move on here. Joe is asking, how many aliens have you personally sent to meet their maker?
Well, in my view, they don't have the same facilities that you do. One of the astounding things we found out in the mass abduction of December 8th and 11th, 1992, because two entities showed up on board that massive craft that's 50 miles thick, 600 miles across, that we may have a video of. Two huge entities showed up on that craft that scared the 7 models, the so-called 7 flavors of alien everybody talks about, the 7 races. They're not races, they're models. Those 7 entities were standing lockstep and tall in front of 2 different beings, and those beings were questioning, and they were very upset, and apparently they were pretty upset with me because they took my senior investigator and 7 of our people in 2 states, abductees in 2 states and several cities. And the first question they asked Dale when he brought him in there was, why did he do this? And I had actually laid a trap for them, and they fell for it, and it worked. It's the first time we ever got aliens to react to us instead of us being a participant in their event, which is called abduction or contact. And the bottom line simply is that these entities, these 2 entities are so much higher than the 7 so-called high aliens that people refer to in some regard as wonderful or whatever. These guys were scared to death of the 2 guys sitting in the 2 big chairs. And my point is that their makers, so to speak, are simply those who hatched, cloned, made, or manufactured them. When we use the term sent to their maker, like if you did that to a human being, that would be to terminate a human being. They would die. And the thing the aliens were very interested in, especially the 2 that came on board that craft, the 2 big questions, there were several questions they asked of Dale, but one of the 2 big questions to 2 of my abductees were these 2 questions. They produced a holographic image of a human brain, and they asked Dale to point to the human soul. Where is it? In the other room, they were talking to a woman who I'd used in this program, and they produced a human brain in front of her image, a hologram, so to speak, and they asked her to point to the human soul. And the other one was the human spirit, the other one was human soul. My point is that they did not know, these 2 high-level guys above the alien didn't have a clue of where the human soul and human spirit was, and they wanted to know. That was very important to them. So the question is, why are they coming here? Your scientists are telling you you're barely higher than pond scum. You're lucky to even be here. And here these aliens that come from millions and millions far, far, far away from a distant star to visit you. To what purpose? To visit pond scum. The fact is, that's not even remotely true. The fact is, they've come a long, long way to get what you have. And they're still not able to do that. And they've been trying that for 150 to 200 years, and that program has not been successful. And they want to know where that's located, and they don't have a clue. So when you say send them back to their maker, they don't have what you have. You're just turning it off. It's like a switch on a wall. You turn the light off, you turn it on. You didn't kill the light, you just turned it off. It's not functioning. That's what it is for them to die. Simply being switched off.
I feel like we should have had some very dreary music behind you saying that.
Really weird.
No kidding. That was an incredible, incredible quote. Andrew is wondering, how do people breathe inside a spaceship?
Very good point. Andrew's. I like Andrew's questions because to me, I had a lot of questions like, where's the bathroom? There are no bathrooms. There's no showers. There's no place for you to go to the bathroom. Why don't they have a bathroom? Where's the lunch counter? They don't have one. What's wrong with this picture? Well, it should send alarm bells to most of us. It's because they're far higher beings. They're light beings. They don't need to eat. No, that's not true. That's not true. There are light beings, and they're not some of them. They use light as a transport to get them to a location, sometimes through a UFO. Often the light will be blue. The reason it's blue is because on the blue spectrum, when the way you test whether stars are flying away from you or coming towards you in space is if it has a red shift, it means they're racing away from you. If it has a blue shift, it means it's coming towards you. Most of the abduction accounts, you'll see a blue or bluish green light in the room. That sort of coloration is what you'll often see. Or it'll be a white light, a bright light, or whatever from the UFO itself. But when they create a portal or an entry point in your room or in your house, as an example, it'll often be blue because that blue shift is coming towards you.
Interesting. I never knew that. What if it's like the white or the orange that people claim, like the street lamp type orange?
Once again?
What if it's the white light, like a white orb, or the orange that people say, like that street lamp colored orange?
Okay. We have to look at some of the phenomena this way. People often say, well, I saw a light that was coming toward me, or an orb or whatever. And my first question to them, was it fuzzy edged or was it hard edged? They said, what do you mean? I said, well, like your lamp, inside there's a bright light inside there, but you can clearly see the lamp shade, so to speak. That's a hard edge. On certain light bulbs, you don't see it's fuzzy. You don't see a hard edge at all. So did the light you see, was it fuzzy edged or hard edged? And they'll often say, well, it was hard edged. I said, well, that's a probe in most cases. Well, what if it's fuzzy edged? I said, I have pictures of those in detail. And the remarkable thing about them, those are entities often in transit toward you or leaving you.
All right, let's move on here.
That's the mechanism by which they arrive.
April is asking, as we only got about 3.5 minutes here before we're going to go to break at the top of the hour. Derrel Sims is our guest tonight. April is asking, Derrel, how do we trap an alien?
My kind of lady. April, you are April, May, and June. You're all of it.
She's a special lady.
That is so cool. The fact is that Bud Hopkins and I had this argument back in 1994. He says, no, I get the impression you think you could capture one of these guys. I said, I think I can. That's impossible, he said. And I said, really? I said, it's been done before. He said, when? I said, Roswell, 1947. I said, Bud, it doesn't matter how it happened. It only matters that it did happen. We got a UFO, and we got the bodies, and we got one of them alive. Sorry, it does happen. The question is, if it has happened before, that's precedence. Now, how can I do that now? And I've actually had scientists, and in fact, got another scientist just came on board with me last week, who's got the specialized equipment that we're going to be using to invite them to the party, so to speak. One of the ways you might want to do that, and I'll leave this up to April's imagination because she's smart enough to figure this out, is to create a Faraday cage environment in which he can enter and then shut the door once he's in. Then you got him.
Ooh. Never thought about it that way. Never thought about it that way. That is interesting. All right. We've got, let's see here, about a minute and a half. About a minute and a half. And let's see if we can throw in another quick question here. The Phenom is asking, is there some type of higher intelligence overseeing these encounters?
There is. There is several types of intelligence, in my opinion. It's imperative, in my viewpoint, from where I'm at, in all my investigations, to understand the aliens. There are just 7 models of them. It's just a program that's only been run for about 100 years or so on planet Earth. It's like we can't imagine they're not like light years ahead of us and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But the fact is, it's just a program, and it hasn't worked that well. It's not been that effective for whoever sent them. And that's an important thing to understand. These guys were made, hatched, cloned, and manufactured. If that's true, somebody did that. Are there other intelligence out there? In my opinion, yes. If you study literature from India, it says there are over 100,000 kinds of intelligences out there in the universe. I don't know. I haven't met all of them. I've met about 7 of them so far, but I haven't met all of them. So I don't know about the other 993. I hadn't met all of them. So that may exist. If we go to, that's from India. If you go to Hebrew or Christian literature, you find that there are millions and millions of angelic beings and other kinds of beings in heaven, and there are all kinds of things in heaven, not just angels. But
right.
But basically, what you have is 2/3 of them are good for us and that sort of thing, and then you've got this other situation, which these other guys are sometimes referred to as fallen. Or
Derrel, I got to cut you off right there, okay, my friend, because we got to step out here. More Spaced Out Radio Hour 3 next.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at Kajans.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around the continent and on the digital side. We're proud to broadcast on TalkStream Live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Latotes. Latotes is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire as well. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, my personal account at Dave Scott SOR. For the final time tonight, we introduce a great guest. I would say this is one of the best shows that I have ever done on this show, and that's going back 5 years. Derrel Sims, the alien hunter, is with us, and his information has been absolutely incredible tonight. His website, alienhunter.org, if you want to check it on out. Derrel, I really appreciate you putting what limited time you have into Spaced Out Radio and our audience tonight. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate being on here as well. And someone asked me, how do you know so much about it? I said, well, actually, I wrote the book on it. And I wrote, if you go to the website, alienhunter.org, you'll see 2 books there. I don't have much of anything to sell. I've got a video that is incredible because I think your audience would like to hear that. The video has got a picture. It's all about evidence in that particular. It's a professionally done video. And the remarkable thing is, one of the things people always say, well, yeah, but does the government know, or does this? The government doesn't have a clue, but they make mistakes. The government of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, one of my abductees ran a red light. When he ran a red light, of course, guess what happens? The little camera clicks on and you get a $350 notice in the mail, pay this or we're going to come get you. The problem is the picture is a picture of one of my abductees in the car, no question about it. He ran a red light, no question about any of that. It's the alien in the back seat that's interesting. They took a picture of the alien in the back seat abducting my abductee.
No.
That I find incredible. I have the original document from the city of Los Angeles. Thank you, Los Angeles, for your work in helping the alien hunter photograph the alien.
Perfect.
I love it.
All right. Let's continue on with our audience questions here because they are jammed up. We're not going to get to all of them tonight, unfortunately. So if you're one of those who doesn't get their question answered, I do apologize right now for that, but we're going to continue on and try and get through as many of these as we can. Bigfoot Michigan Rob is asking, how much of the missing 411 cases could be attributed to aliens, in your opinion?
I hesitate to comment about other people's cases, and the reason for that is because, number one, I am not, I don't know all their information, so I don't. But I will say this: that I have volunteered my services to David Pilates and his crew to interview. I said, I am perfectly willing to interview the survivors that came back from the 4/11 events. And if you would like for me to interview them with my the power of my techniques, handwriting analysis, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, and other techniques to use to recover memory, I will volunteer that. And if they so would like to do that, I'm at your disposal. So that's been thrown out there as of last month at the Washington conference where I was at with David Pilates. And he's agreed to that, so we'll see what happens. I don't know what happened to those people. I wished I did. I can only conjecture, but I will give you a big hint. Whatever happened to them, it wasn't good. It wasn't for the best and highest use of humanity. And whoever did it didn't have your interest in mind. And they weren't here to save your planet, fix the ozone hole, or anything else. They're here to get whatever it is they came for. And some of them are not going to wait. They simply, apparently, going to take whatever they need.
All right. Carl is asking, Travis Walton now believes that the ETs saved him from dying from the injuries that he received from being thrown back after he touched the craft. Isn't this an act of kindness?
If his information is correct, probably. That sounds good to me. Do the aliens do good things? Some of them do. Do they want to kill everybody and eat them or barbecue them? No, I don't think so. The fact is they do their job. If their job is to carbonize you, your cattle, your sheep, your animals, your dog, whatever, they'll do that with great enthusiasm. If their job is to pat you on the head, make you feel like you're chosen, special, and unique, they'll do that with great enthusiasm. They're going to do whatever it is they're told to do, whatever that is. It doesn't matter whether it's to mutilate you or whether it's to make you think you're chosen and selected among all of the human beings, and your DNA is going to be raised to a new density that you can't even comprehend. You know, it doesn't matter to them. They only do what they're told to do. One thing I told Travis many years ago, he said, why do you think that I was missing for several days, 5 days? And I said, okay. He said, but I think I was only gone 20 minutes. How do you account for that, Derrel, if the story is true? So, Travis, I said, if you're traveling at a relativistic speed, you may have only been gone for 20 minutes. But for us, it may have been 5 days.
Interesting. Powerful. Greco has a question for you, Derrel. And he is asking, why are we calling them aliens if they are from Earth?
I like this guy. People call them aliens. The reason I call them aliens is because that's the only thing people understand. The fact is, I call them entities because that's what they are. They're entities. They're made, hatched, cloned, manufactured for the purpose of making you think they're from other planets and other races and whatever whopper they want to parade on us. That's the narrative, and that's what's been put out there for 100 years, and that's what people buy into. So therefore, they must be higher, better, bigger, better than all that than us. When the fact is that the common little gray one, the little tiny gray one, the guy is so slow, he's got the IQ of a moron. I'm not picking on him. I'm telling you the truth. And someone questioned me one time and said, how can you tell the IQ of anybody? I said, do you ever met any smart people in your life? He said, yes. I said, everybody, any stupid people in your life? He said, yeah, lots of them. I said, did you give them an IQ test, or could you figure that out by yourself? I said, listen, are you an abductee? He said, no. And I said, have you ever seen a UFO? No. I said, then don't tell me about the alien. You don't know anything about them. You've not met them. You've never had any interaction with them. You don't have a frickin' clue. So don't go around telling me what I have to think about aliens when the fact is you don't even have any experience. None. So I'll decide. And that's just the way it works. And they're not aliens. They're constructs. They're avatars for someone else.
All right.
And think about that for a while. That'll float your boat for a while.
Hugely. Eugene is asking, and Eugene's a former guest on this show. He's asking, Derrel, what do you think the lifespan of an alien is?
I love these questions. Some of the aliens seem to be several hundred years old, to be sure. And the reason we think that is because of the aging spots that are on the older one's head. And he actually has several small groups of hairs on his head, which he seems to be proud of, that others do not have. Some of the models are so new that we literally, one of our abductees actually saw the membrane still over their eye because they'd just been hatched, cloned, made, or manufactured, literally. But now when they're hatched, cloned, made, or manufactured, they're told they're from an ancient race or whatever. So they think they're hundreds or thousands of years old. They don't know. They don't have a clue. It's like the movie Blade Runner. The replicants were made, hatched, cloned, or manufactured. This is a good example. And they were looking for memories to try to make themselves be normal. They needed to buy into something. They needed a history. That was important for them.
Josh is asking, so if these aliens are models, Derrel, do you know who is at the top controlling them?
I knew that was coming. We kind of touched on it for the last break. There are only two primary viewpoints in ufology about that. The two primary viewpoints is Sitchin's view, which says the gods that came down from the heavens. That's not actually the correct rendering in Hebrew or other languages. It's the better way to render that is the ones that got booted out, got kicked out of heaven. Kicked out is the proper word. Thrown out. There was a war. A war in heaven means you didn't get asked to stay. They threw you out. So that's the narrative. So one of them is the view that they came down here to help mankind out, really. The guys that showed up down here interbred with human women, and I think that's called rape in some cases. And then they produced giants as a result. That was a program that they were running at the time. And the giants appear all over the earth, by the way. There's virtually no place on the earth you're going to not hear about them. When the scientists went to Machu Picchu in 1929, they told the little Peruvians, you people are so smart. Look at all these wonderful, great constructions you made. You're such a smart bunch of little people. They said, we didn't do that. The giants did that. I mean, the Stone Age is their age. And these are just programs that have been run on mankind. And that's just the way it's been for a long time. And these, there are very good and wonderful things, there are beings that are out there, angelics and others that care for us. And there are others that are out here that are at the top, so to speak, on the other side of the spectrum. Like I told the people that said there's 100,000 races of beings all over the universe. Hey, I don't know. I hadn't met them all. I don't know that to be true. Maybe you know. Maybe you met them all. I didn't. My point is that there's only two categories. One that's for us and one of them that's not. If they fall into one of those two categories. So biblically, it divides it up into a third and two-thirds. You can slice that pie up any way you want to, but the point is somebody out there doesn't like you and somebody out there does like you. I'd pay attention to the ones that do. And in fact, Jesus Christ came down here and his disciples asked him this incredible question before he took off in the resurrection. And they asked him the question, what will be the sign of the end times and the time of your coming? And he said, as it was in the days of Noah. This was the day of transgenics.
Gotcha.
As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. He said, whatever was going on back then, which was giantism, and it's mixing of DNAs, what it was. He said, that's going to be happening in the end. That's already happening. All you got to do is go to the internet, get on Google, type in the word transgenic, and see what happens. Click images when you do that. You want to get scared? Study that for about a week. You will not believe the stuff that's going on. It'll scare you. It really will. And China's behind it more than anybody. So that's kind of a big deal. But that's the big one is that they're either for you or against you. And I'm on if I'm going to choose a side, I'm going to be with the guy that raised the dead, healed the sick, and came here as a savior of mankind. I'm going to stay with Jesus Christ. Everybody else, whoever else wants to go to the alien, they can be glad to go with them. That's fine. I don't think I'd be interested.
Leah, or Lee, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. She is asking, Derrel, does a black light actually work to see evidence of alien abduction?
What a great question. The black light does work. I discovered the use of it in 1992 on abductees when I was looking at a woman, a millionaire actually, and I asked her if I could look at her exposed skin with the black light. And she said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I don't know. I have intuition is in my handwriting." And I said, "I think we're missing stuff here. I really do." And she said, "Sure." And I pulled out the black light with several people there, and we examined her. The exposed skin inside her bicep or on her right arm was a Mandelbrot set. That's a mathematical construction. It kind of looks like a heart, and it's a sign of chaos and order. And it was in fluorescence on the inside of her bicep. When she saw that, she ran to the bathroom and scrubbed and scrubbed. She reminded me of a rape victim because they cry, and the more they scrub, the worse it is, and the brighter it got. It won't come off. You can't get it off. If it's really alien, it'll penetrate the skin subdermally on contact. Something we discovered back in 1992. There's a black light is useful for that. It'll show up at about 267 nanometers.
We've got about 5.5 minutes with you. I got a few more questions from our audience we're going to try and jam in. Joe is asking, I have woken up scratched and bruised. 3 nights ago, I woke up and it felt like my arm had been pulled out of its socket. It still hurts. Are these signs of me fighting alien abduction?
Well, it's difficult to say because I wasn't there and you were. And the question is, how can you find that out? And there are different techniques to do that. One of them might be through hypnotherapy. But the fact is that you can start checking yourself with a black light, as this lady had mentioned. If you check yourself with a black light, if you were physically touched by the entities, physically touched and handled, often there will be a fluorescent trace on you. Even one of my doctors who went in the hospital for a surgery, the aliens abducted him while he was in the hospital. They came there and removed an implant so the doctors wouldn't find it and then put it back in afterward. You say, when do you believe all that stuff? Just because he's a doctor and he told you that? Yeah, that's number one. Number two is I know him real well and he never lies. And number three is I saw the fluorescent fingerprints on his back 5 days afterward.
Fluorescent fingerprints 5 days
of the alien's hand. Yep.
Holy cow.
Amazing. Absolutely.
How big was
amazing.
that? How big was that?
The hands were about my size, so we know that it was a taller alien that handled him, and I do have the photography of that, and sometimes I show these in my presentations as well. We find handprints on windows, handprints on walls, and sometimes handprints on people.
Wow. All right, let's move on here as I want to try and jam in a couple more here. Space Cadet is asking, how can you go about remembering your experiences if you think you've been taken?
Well, it's my best advice to people is it's kind of like Pandora's box. Don't open the box if you don't want to know what's in it, because you're never going to get the box closed. You think you will, but you won't. You're going to live with this for the rest of your life. Whether it was good, whether it was bad, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, however, that's going to affect you. Your life is not going to be the same. So I caution you in that. I had to know, and I opened the box. I did that willingly. There are people that wish they had never done that because they're better off not knowing, and that's fine. But if you have to know, one of the ways to do that is through somebody like myself, I use all kinds of techniques for memory recovery, some of them conscious, some of them subconscious, and so on. But the fact is, like the lady I worked with, the engineer before, she did not have a clue. But once I had worked with her, it was crystal clear. There's no question about her events. And she was sitting there in tears, crying about her own events. How can this be true? I don't even believe in this stuff. Yet she had perfect memory of it from our hypnosis session.
I think we got time for one more here with about 2 minutes left. And I'm just scrolling here. And, okay, let's pick, oh, goodness. Where can we go? And here I am wasting the time. Let's go with the Phenom. Final question. How have these beings come across their almost magical technology?
Everything seems magical to us because we don't know what it is. Let me reframe this for you. You'll like this. Let's say I go out and dig up a caveman. We thaw him out. He's frozen. We thaw him out, and miraculously he lives. He comes to my house. He's shocked because I open the door and there's a cave, but it's really a neat cave because it's really clean. And we come in here, and I flip on the light, and he goes, "Oh, sun!" He points at that, and I've got a little miniature sun up there on my ceiling, and he's like shocked and amazed because I flipped this light. I'm magical. I didn't make the electricity just because I flipped the light switch. It means I knew how to flip the light switch on. Just because I know how to manipulate the light doesn't mean I made the light. And then I really want to have some fun with this guy. I turn on the TV and push the VCR tape in, or CD. It's called 1 million BC, and he starts seeing animals he used to hunt. Now he thinks I got a freaking time machine in there, and it's nothing but a TV and a VCR. You see what I'm saying? Translate that all back to yourself. It's easy to do. Don't be overwhelmed with the razzle-dazzle. Forget it. The message is far simpler than the magic.
On that note, my friend, we have to prepare to say goodnight to you, unfortunately. But I want to say thank you for one heck of a show tonight. It has been fantastic, and I can't wait to bring you back on. I really cannot wait to bring you back on.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Thank you for taking your time, my friend. Derrel Sims, everybody. Derrel Sims, the alien hunter. How good was that? I'm serious. I've done almost 1,000 shows. This is definitely a top fiver. Definitely a top fiver for me. And I hope you guys all enjoyed it too. But we got more Spaced Out Radio coming on up. We got the SOR Newswire, Thought of the Dave. And if you want to check out Derrel's website, it is alienhunter.org. More Spaced Out Radio coming up as we look to take this thing home.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other: Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocket Out to Bumblefoot, and don't forget to read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. There's a lot of stuff going on there, so make sure you check it on out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, the show at Spaced Out Radio, my personal account at Dave Scott SOR. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? It's time once again to get into the weird, the wacky, the strange with Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you an SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to all stories going on around our planet. Now, this one just came across my Newswire, and Captain Shirk hasn't put it on the show or on our website yet, but I thought I'd put it up. Canadian-born veteran Ken Sumner of legendary Dam Busters Squadron, who spent almost 200 hours in aircraft fighting Nazi Germany and who was decorated for his devotion to duty, has died at the age of 96 from coronavirus. He never said much. He was a quiet guy, but when he spoke, every single person listened, said Warwick Shepherd, Sumner's grandson. He was immensely proud and a dogged fighter. Sumner died in hospital in the United Kingdom last week, shortly after being diagnosed with COVID-19. Shepherd remembers his granddad's love for his kids or grandkids and his fierce determination. Shepherd, speaking via Skype to a Canadian news outlet, said Sumner ran 5 marathons when he was in his 70s, toured the Great Wall of China in his 80s. He didn't realize it wasn't a race every day, so he would set off and run ahead of everyone, not thinking it would actually be a sightseeing tour. Shepherd said Sumner rarely spoke about his war service. Like most veterans, he was very humble and very quiet about it. Shepherd does know that his granddad was once part of the most celebrated bombing squadron in the Second World War. Ken Sumner was born in Prairie River, Saskatchewan, May 5th, 1923. His own father emigrated to Canada to start a farm after fighting in the First World War, but had to return to England during the Great Depression. Sumner had originally planned to be a doctor, but he left school when the war began. He enlisted in the RAF at the age of 18. He became a bomb aimer on the famed Avro Lancaster bomber. It was the aimer's role to tell the pilot the heading when the bomb was on the run and when to release the payload. The aimer also took the bomb photograph, which served as proof of the plane's success. He joined the number 44 Rhodesia Squadron, which was named in honor of the British colony's contribution to the Allied war efforts. Good job, sir. Good job. That's a great, great life. The Kansas state legislature has voted to override a provision of the governor's stay-at-home order that limited religious gatherings to 10 people, even as the coronavirus cases in the state grew this week, jumping 40% to over 1,000 with 38 deaths. Kansas Democratic Governor Laura Kelly issued an updated statewide order on March 28th that resembled similar orders in other states. No large gatherings, limited travel, and the curtailment of daily business to those deemed essential. Pretty standard stuff, but not to Republicans in the state, who also happen to control the state house. Republican Senate leaders push to override the governor's public health order and will allow religious leaders to congregate freely on Easter Sunday. They said in a statement that state legislators with the Republicans were able to undo the executive order by using powers they granted themselves last month that allow the legislature to override the governor in a wide range of circumstances. The power grab in the state came after GOP lawmakers were outraged when the governor was nearly early to close schools for the remainder of the academic year and restrict foreclosures and evictions in response to the pandemic. Oh, this is going to continue right across North America, isn't it? However, there is apparently no social distancing in space. 3 astronauts flew to the International Space Station, departing the virus-plagued planet with little fanfare and no family members at the launch site to bid them farewell. NASA's Chris Cassidy and Russians Anatoly Ivanishin and Ivan Wagner arrived at the orbiting lab in their Soyuz capsule 6 hours after blasting off from Kazakhstan. They joined 2 Americans and 1 Russian who will return to Earth in a week. There was no social distancing, 260 miles up, as they floated into the space station one by one. The new astronauts embraced the 3 already there. They had been in pre-launch quarantine for the past month. The newest crew members will remain on board until October, keeping the outpost running until SpaceX launches a pair of NASA astronauts from Florida's Kennedy Space Center as early as next month. It will be the first orbital launch of astronauts from the U.S. since NASA's Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. Thursday's liftoff was low-key by Russian standards, given the coronavirus pandemic sweeping the globe. NASA televised the liftoff live as usual, but only a few Russia-based employees of the space agency were actually at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Cassidy's wife, Peggy, watched the launch from NASA's Mission Control in Houston. She returned home a few weeks ago after saying goodbye to her husband at cosmonaut headquarters in Star City, Russia. "No virus is stronger than the human desire to explore," tweeted NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine. "I am grateful to the entire at NASA and at Roscosmos team for their dedication to making this launch a success." On the eve of liftoff, the astronauts said they felt fantastic after being in strict quarantine. The sparse crowds mostly stayed safe distance away from the astronauts. Even the Orthodox priest offering the customary blessing stood several feet away. "Obviously, we love to have our families here with us, but it is what we understand we have to do to be safe," Cassidy said. "The whole world is also impacted by the same crisis," added Ivanishin. "We've been completely isolated at this final stage of training." There was just one other twist besides coronavirus. Ivanishin and Wagner were assigned to the flight just 2 months ago after one of the original Russian crewmen suffered an eye injury. Good luck to them on the space station. Oh, wow. Here's a weird one. A couple have revealed how they hope to marry and start a family with a woman they met on Instagram as they celebrate their first anniversary as a throuple. Rebecca Grossman, Dave Gilbert, who met through work 12 years ago, had been together for a decade when Carla Moreno sent them an Instagram message asking if they'd be interested in a relationship with her. It's actually a very good-looking couple, or throuple. After a 3-day date in March 2019, the trio became inseparable, and just 8 weeks later, Carla packed up her life and moved an hour down the road to Dave and Rebecca's home in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now the trio are hoping to make their union official and start a family. Yeah, Rebecca, who identifies as bisexual, said, "From that first date, all 3 of us were inseparable. We had this amazing connection. It's hard to be someone's everything. You do not have to see one person as your whole thing. There are so many things I can't give to Dave, but that Carla can give him, and vice versa. In a throuple, there's more love, more hugs, more support. There's just more to go around. In 3 times the fun, 3 times the memories, and 3 times the love." Rebecca and Dave, who both work as store managers, first began to explore polyamory when someone engages in a romantic relationships with more than one person at the same time. Well, they did it 5 years ago. Rebecca says she brought it up as she had experienced it in the past and found it was the right fit for her as being bisexual. Dave recalled, "I was never seeking a polyamory or a throuple relationship and had always identified as monogamous. Rebecca introduced me to the concept, and once I'd opened up to the idea, I realized all the ways in which it added to my life rather than taking away." Well, isn't that a polite gesture to say, man, you hit the jackpot? At first, he says, "I was worried that it would take Rebecca away from me, but it didn't. I actually worked, and it worked for us." Over the years, Rebecca and Dave dated a handful of other people, but for various reasons, it didn't work out. Meanwhile, retail assistant Carla, who is also bisexual, was having a similar problem, having struggled to live monogamously. She had been in a number of relationships, but guess what? They didn't work as well. In time, the trio all came together for the same polyamory community on Instagram, where they would chat to like-minded people. Having first spotted Rebecca and Dave on a dating app in 2018, Carla says she was initially too shy to message them, but when she found them on Instagram a year later, she decided to go for it, and they've been together happily ever after. Good for them! Good for them! All right. With the humans away, the whales will play. Go figure. Yeah. In another sign that wild animals are roaming more freely while lockdown people are sheltering indoors from the virus, a maritime patrol has filmed remarkable images of whales powering through the Mediterranean waters off the coast of southern France. The graceful pair of fin whales was filmed earlier this week in waters off of Calanques National Park, a protected reserve of outstanding natural beauty next to the usually bustling but now locked down Mediterranean port city of Marseille. Didier Rel, who heads the park board, says it's very, very rare for fin whales to be spotted and filmed at such close quarters in the reserve's waters. The whales usually stay further out in the deeper Mediterranean waters, but it seems to have been drawn in by the lockdown-driven freeze or on maritime traffic, water sports, pleasure fishing, and pleasure craft. The absence of human activity means that whales are far more serene, calm, and confident about rediscovering their playground that they abandoned when there is maritime traffic. It is clear that the lockdown of humans is helping nature and biodiversity rediscover their natural spaces, he said. With the lockdown, nothing is happening. It is dead quiet, and animals, be they fin whales or other marine species, are clearly rediscovering their confidence and peace, allowing them to come closer to shore. Fin whales are among the largest on the planet, weighing in as much as 70 tons and growing past 65 feet or 20 meters in length. Wild animals venturing into places vacated by humans has also been spotted elsewhere around the world, as hundreds of millions of people are locked down and limited in their movements to try and slow down the pandemic. For most people, the virus causes mild to moderate symptoms such as fever and cough, but for some, especially older, adults, and in the infirm, it could cause pneumonia and death. So the animals, so far, so good. They're winning. The environment is winning. All right, let's move on. A Georgia bar owner says a tradition of customers stapling dollar bills to the business walls is now allowing her to distribute $3,714 to her now out-of-work staff. Jennifer Cox, owner of the Sand Bar in Tybee Island, said customers have been writing their names and other messages on dollar bills and stapling them to the walls inside the bar for the last 15 years. Knox said she was inside the empty bar in March after the business closed due to the virus lockdown measures and when she came up with a way on how she could help her unemployed staff. We were sitting there, the doors were locked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's money on the walls and we have time on our hands. We got to get this money down. She said it took 3 days to remove all the bills. She was able to collect $3,714 from the walls, and customers who heard about her efforts to help her employees offered donations that brought the total amount to $4,104. She said the donations are still coming in from the public. We all look out for each other, she said. We're all in this together. Good for her. Good for her. Who knew that that would be a premonition of putting those dollar bills up on her bar's walls? About 30 years ago, Canadian farmers released hogs into the wild as the meat market slowed. Well, guess what? These pigs have since grown gigantic and are ravaging farmland across the continent. When Canadian farmers imported wild boars from Europe in the late 1980s and early 1990s, the goal was to purely raise meat. Even though some of them escaped and others were freed once the meat market slowed, none of the farmers thought these animals would survive the Canadian harsh winters. However, according to National Geographic, that has been a mistake with a hefty consequence, and descendants of those boars have since bred with domestic pigs, and they are now wreaking environmental havoc across the country's crops, wildlife, and grasslands. Though unruly pigs might seem like a minor issue with a cartoonish level of threat, these feral hogs can weigh up to 600 pounds and sport some seriously sharp tusks. Can you imagine the size of the bacon on these things? Oh, my mouth is watering just reading this. The wild and domestic traits they have inherited gave both them a tolerance for extreme cold and the ability to birth large litters. They've even begun to build shelters above ground, since dubbed pigloos by experts. Yeah, pigloos. You only get that in Canada. Pigloos. As such, wildlife researcher from the University of Saskatchewan, Ryan Brook, has decided to aptly dub this generation as super pigs. We should be worried because we know the biology, said Brook. They are calling it an ecological train wreck for a reason. This generation of hogs has been spotted from British Columbia to Manitoba. When they are not harassing the regional livestock, they are freely eating whatever they could get their tusks on. They're also reproducing at an alarming rate. Doctoral candidate at the University of Saskatchewan, Ruth Ashib, says no one even knows where they are until the last few years. Asham and Brook, who serve as her advisor, spent 3 years mapping their spread using trail cams, GPS collars, and interviewing local farmers and hunters. Asham practically lived out of her car for months, all while meeting with biologists and conservation officers across Canada. Her findings clarified the gravity of the issue for the first time. Oh, yes. The data generally showed that these hogs have covered tremendous ground in the last 30 years. Yeah. Apparently, they've even begun encroaching into new and unexpected territory, remarkably far away from where they were raised. All the while, they were rummaging through private property. The rooting is really terrible, and they're destroying it. So basically, there is an open season on the hogs. Go get some wild bacon. Can't be that bad. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we take a question, put it on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. What would you do if you came face to face with aliens? Oh, aliens. Canadian Joe still has his seat warm for Toronto's next Stanley Cup parade. Says, if they suddenly materialize in front of me, I'd probably poop my pants. If I saw them coming towards me, I'd like to think I'd extend my hand for a handshake. Can't do that. That's not social distancing. Juan, don't pass out. You might wake up during a probe-to-butt resuscitation. Oh, my goodness. Maureen, you can have everything except my buttocks. Mr. Skeptic, I would say to them, stay the heck away from my cans. Okay. Yeah, I made a spelling mistake in there. That's why they're all making fun of me. Anyways, Anthony says, excuse myself to change my underwear. Nathan, first I'd offer coffee. If not, then just have a sit down and talk. Then I'd want to start asking for enlightenment as much as I could handle. Graham, no, not my cans. The aliens want my special limited edition antique cans and said, Old Man Jenkins. Joe, the nature of the meeting exemplifies the intent on both parties. No need for panic or giving into fear. Hopefully an intelligent, meaningful, cooperative communication could be conducted that would set the scene for future contact. Oscar, drop my pants and say, let's get busy. Oh, you sicko. You sicko. All right. Professor Pagan, when in your history did you discover biological evolution? I know. Nerd alert. It's who I am. Yeah, let's go over to Facebook. Carrie, I'd offer him a beer. Oh, that's so Canadian. Robin, want to hit up some clubs and dance all night like Leif Garrett's song, I Feel Like Dancing? Oh, that's nice. Linz, talk and see if we can communicate at all. Then I'd decide after what I really want to do or ask. Carrie, I'd tell some of us humans. I'd tell him some of us humans can't spell. Apparently can't read either. Graham, ask him to remove all the tar from my lungs and give it to me in a little box as a gift, as they did to someone else. Chris, I guess if my can was in an alien's face, that would mean he was probably performing some sort of probing. Steve, chess and risk. I want to play that with aliens. Corey, I would ask him if they are part of Team Stump or Team Rock. Vivian, no one really knows until that moment happens. Shar, I'd call on Jesus. Ron, I would assume they are smarter than me. I would be friendly. Linda, if I am still alive, I would hope that if they say they are here to serve man, that it's not a cookbook. Sorry, old joke. Brandy, well, she's jumping into the dumpster. Shauna, I would offer tea and cake. Well, that's very Commonwealth of you back in the UK. Gabe, I have already, but don't remember it. The reason why I don't remember it's probably because I didn't take it too well. Tim gets the final word tonight. Get 'em drunk, then probe 'em back. Oh, that's the thought of the Dave today, as we do it every day on our Facebook and Twitter pages, so you can play along as well if you want to check it on out. And we say a big thank you to everybody doing that. We say big thanks to Captain Shirk for the fantastic news, and to Derrel Sims, the alien hunter, for coming on in and rocking us with a lot of alien talk. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAP, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and to all the snarkers and snarkettes on Twitter and hashtag Spaced Out Radio. All of you were amazing tonight with your questions and comments. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for participating in the show. Guess what? We get to do it all again tomorrow. I'll be here. Come join us. Let's have some fun. Good night.